The Michigan Lottery presents a pop quiz that's almost as easy as new Cash Pop. Question 1. How many numbers does it take to win Cash Pop? A, 1. Question 2. How many Cash Pop numbers do you choose from? Is it A, 15? Question 3. How much can you win playing Cash Pop? A, up to $5,000? Okay, if you answered A, you deserve a Cash Pop. Match 1 and you won. New from the Michigan Lottery. Knowing your limits is always the best bet.
Welcome back, everyone. This is a continuation of A Summons for Champion Strength, The Legacy of an Unsung Bible Hero by Stephanie R. Sinclair. When men are cast down, then thou shalt say, there is lifting up, and he shall save the humble person. Job chapter 22, verse 29. Chapter 6. Don't forfeit the victory. And Jephthah sent messengers unto the king of the children of Ammon, saying, What hast thou to do with me, that thou art come against me to fight in my land? Judges chapter 11, verse 12. Jephthah not only possessed the physical strength needed for this war, but he also exemplified courage to take on his enemies' enemies. He became their champion and boldly confronted the children of Ammon until they were defeated. Jephthah used the same strengthening method which helped him survive the struggles of his youth. The ability to aggressively conquer the enemy came from a source which was stronger than him. This empowerment was an element that was visible to the vain men, the Israelites, and the elders of Gilead. The power that resonated through his physique was his relationship with God. It was the foundation that kept him from losing his mind when he was thrown out into the streets. God raised his level of belief that life did not have to end at the moment of rejection. Jephthah found the real source of existence in the darkest moments of his life. It was during those moments when he thought no one loved him. God sent the vain men to arouse his attention regarding his champion potential. It was obvious that he had come to rely on his Father in heaven to continue on with his life because he knew how to pray. Jephthah started to communicate with God in such a sincere manner that he zealously prayed without thinking about the results. Be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thine heart be hasty to utter anything before God. For God is in heaven, and thou upon earth. Therefore let thy words be few. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 2. God granted Jephthah's request for delivering the enemies into his hands. The victory had been won. The Gileadites and Israelites' deliverance had come. Now they were free to live their lives in peace. Jephthah completed his mission, and all was well. So he thought. However, he ran into a challenge which he would not be able to overcome physically, and that was the oath he made in his prayer before the onset of the battle. And Jephthah vowed a vow unto the Lord, and said, If thou shalt without fail deliver the children of Ammon into mine hands, then it shall be that whatsoever cometh forth of the doors of my house to meet me, when I return in peace from the children of Ammon, shall surely be the Lord's, and I will offer it up for an burnt offering. Judges chapter 11, verses 30 through 31. The elders of Gilead kept their word when they agreed for Jephthah to be their leader. Now it was time for Jephthah to keep his word. A sense of commitment drove him to keep his promises. Unfortunately, he was not aware of what his future entailed. A drastic change occurred that affected him for the rest of his life. Moments of joy and regret. The Bible does not record any celebratory acts of the Gileadites or the Israelites being grateful for Jephthah's courageous defense on their behalf. There were no feasts or gifts given to the one who saved their lives. This is reflective of how we can act sometimes when we are consumed with the mounting pressures of daily life. We make time to pray to God and spend time with Him when we are in desperate need to be delivered from our surrounding enemies. We plead for His help until He commits to the fight. Then, when the victory is won and our lives are back to normal, we forget to say thanks. Giving thanks to God is something we must always remember to do. Despite the lack of gratitude, excitement filled the air, as shouts for joy rang through the streets. Who was it? This person went as far to greet Jephthah with timbrels and with dances. Judges chapter 11, verse 34. A trustworthy and loyal family relationship had eventually made an entrance into Jephthah's life. The image of a young woman came into view as Jephthah approached his home. This young woman, who so graciously greeted Jephthah when he returned home, was his daughter. It is not indicated how Jephthah acquired the relationship with his daughter's mother. Whether he was married or not, his loyalty to the relationship was exemplified by the joy she expressed. The deprivation of not having a family who loved him unconditionally during his childhood created a distinct trait in him which was reflective of a loyal person. The act of greeting someone with timbrels and dances indicates praise without hesitation. In contrast to Jephthah, who experienced family isolation, his daughter embraced her father wholeheartedly. Jephthah had cultivated a good relationship with his daughter. The fact that he was born out of wedlock and was not connected to a family lineage which she could resort to for additional support when needed did not bother her. The announcement of Jephthah's victory had spread faster than he could walk home to share his version of the conquest. The exhilaration of celebration filled his daughter's mind as she walked out the door to meet her father. Albeit, when he laid eyes on his daughter, he immediately remembered the vow he made to the Lord, and rent his clothes and said, Alas, my daughter, thou hast brought me low, and thou art one of them that trouble me. For I have opened my mouth unto the Lord, and I cannot go back. Judges chapter 11, verse 35. People often say anything that comes to their mind when they are in trouble. Jephthah could have experienced a flashback of rejection and thought he would not be esteemed in the eyesight of his countrymen if he lost the battle. The struggle to believe in oneself without compromise is something we all deal with from time to time. It alters our thinking during pivotal points in our lives and is a major factor that influences our ability to make wise decisions. You must learn how to believe in yourself and the ability God has given you to overcome giants in your life, like King David did when he slew Goliath. David was only 12 years old, but he had enough faith to believe God would give him the supernatural strength he needed to defeat the enemy. The Bible encourages us to seek the Lord and ask anything in his name, but it is also wise not to make presumptuous promises if we are not sure of the outcome. I am sure Jephthah thought if only he had rephrased his prayer request, he would have not found himself in such a crisis. Due to the extent of which covenant agreements or vows were made during that time, unfortunately, his daughter lost her life as a result of her father's hasty promise. His daughter possessed the same character traits as her father. After hearing of her father's vow to the Lord, she complied without any objection. Rather than devising a plan for her escape, she asked her father for 60 days to mourn her dreams of getting married. The severity of her pain touched the hearts of her friends to the point they were moved to mourn with her during that time. Even after her death, they set aside a special time during each year to mourn her death for 4 days. Despite his personal loss, Jephthah proved to be a mighty champion because of his ability to succeed regardless of his negative experiences, especially his childhood. He could have given up by committing suicide or resorted to a lifestyle of bitterness and complacency. However, he didn't let disappointments and bad decisions limit his desire to succeed or remain loyal. There are some people who only commit themselves to relationships until their goal of using others have been met, or the people they are using cannot provide for them anymore, and then they move on without remorse. They often use people for money, prestige, daily errands, and whatever else they can think of. In contrast, Jephthah showed his countrymen and family members the essence of real brotherhood. Jephthah went on to reign as Israel's judge for 6 years. Perhaps you have accomplished something great in your life, but you have forfeited it by giving up something valuable to you, and there's nothing you can do to correct it. Life exams are full of multiple choices. Some decisions are easy to make, while others can be complex. If you have made choices in your life which have caused permanent changes or damage, begin to use them as sources of wisdom. You can refer back to those lessons later on in life to help you make better choices. Those regretful decisions can also help you guide others in the right direction, as Jephthah did during his time he served as Israel's judge. The life of a champion is not always easy, but it can be achieved when you decide not to give up. The life of unsung champions. Champions are seen every day. They fulfill numerous unsung family roles of those who work tirelessly to make life better for their loved ones. They also exemplify themselves through public service personnel, such as police officers, firemen, the armed forces, and other community based workers. Their selfless acts of heroism cannot be appreciated enough. The relentless choice to leave their families to put their lives in harm's way for the sake of protecting those whom they do not know is inconceivable to those who could care less. Their heroic deeds frequently go unmentioned because we become accustomed to them going the extra mile, despite the likelihood of them losing their lives. After surviving my car accident a few years ago, I realized that the most valuable aspect of life is life itself. We all must strive to make a lasting positive impression on those around us by caring, sharing, listening, and loving them for who they are. There are a lot of things that can be acquired in life, but the ability to obtain and retain relationships with trustworthy people is priceless. The most valuable attribute a champion can possess is authenticity of character. You must understand that the problems you experience in life ultimately contribute to the salvation of others. If you are in a situation where the things in your life have been reduced and you think that your existence is based on the amount of your material possessions, think again. You have Christ. Sharing the gift of salvation with those who are lost is priceless, everlasting, and cannot be repossessed unless you forfeit your eternal inheritance. Circumstances may have knocked you down to the point where you have lost your emotional equilibrium. Don't be discouraged. You can get back onto the battlefield of life by forcing yourself to resist defeat. For a just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again. Proverbs chapter 24, verse 16. Though he fall, he shall not be utterly cast down, for the Lord upholdeth him with his hand. Psalm 37, verse 24. I pray that your spiritual eyes have been opened to view the greatness that lies within you. The ability to become a champion is obsolete without any struggle or pain. It is neither based on your possession of a spotless reputation, superior family lineage, or ethnic background. Strength is not biased, but available to anyone who would like to acquire it. In order to become a champion, you must make up in your mind that you will not be defeated mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. You can show your critics how strong and courageous you are by leading the way to victory. The only way to do this is by showing up for battle. In everything give thanks. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 18. God's Outstanding Champion Award. When actors, directors, writers, singers, and musicians are given a special award for their performances, they show gratitude to the special people in their lives who have contributed to their success. You should follow their example and pay tribute to all of the people in your life who have helped you become a champion. You know the people who rejected, labeled, used, misled, and exiled you. Thank them for leaving you with a type of adversity the average person could not handle. Give thanks to the unofficial and unqualified strategists who encourage your opponents to hinder your progress. They assumed that the application of their stress, harassment, and sarcasm would keep you down. They also thought their efforts would eradicate your ability to sustain a viable livelihood, healthy relationship, and balanced self-esteem. Nevertheless, contrary to their belief, while they were adding negative weights, they did not realize that they were also contributing to the strengthening of your character, emotional immunity, and prominence as a champion. They did not know that you had the strategist of all strategists supporting, loving, and encouraging you when no one else would. Your strategist was the Almighty God, who was whispering in your ear words like, "You can make it and don't give up." Without them, you would have never known the number of nominations you receive daily from your Heavenly Father for being one of His outstanding champions. God has a special award made just for you. "And they shall be mine, saith the Lord of hosts, in that day when I make up my jewels, and I will spare them, as a man spareth his own son that serveth him." Malachi chapter 3, verse 17. "Thou shalt also be a crown of glory in the hand of the Lord, and a royal diadem in the hand of thy God. Thou shalt no more be termed forsaken, neither shall thy land any more be termed desolate." Isaiah chapter 62, verses 3 through 4. I had the opportunity to meet my father when I was very young and would see him occasionally when he was in public going about his business. His absence in my life did not have a profound effect on me during my childhood or early adulthood because there was not an emotional bond established between us. Neither was my heart broken because of any empty promises he made to me. Therefore, I subconsciously blocked him out of my mind until recently. Periodically, I would conduct an internet search to see where he was living, and to my surprise, he died about 12 years ago. I never thought his death would have affected me the way it did, but I realized that his permanent absence is more important to me than his temporary absence will ever be. This was because I desired his acknowledgement of my existence. Despite his lack of action to develop a relationship with me, mourning his death was as painful to me as it would have been if we had a close relationship. You may have been born outside of wedlock like me, or perhaps you were born in wedlock and you still feel rejected by your family. Your parents may have not been there for you physically or emotionally when you needed them the most, but their absence does not have to hinder your progress in life. Jephthah was not included in his earthly father's will. But the perseverance he possessed to move forward with his life is indicative of the fact that God has not left any of us out of his will. For there is no respect of persons with God. Romans chapter 2, verse 11. If you do not have a family legacy which you can refer to for support, start your own legacy by receiving your Heavenly Father's invitation to join His family. He will never turn His back on you, and He will always provide the emotional, financial, mental, physical, and spiritual support you need to live your life to the fullest. For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God. For ye have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, but ye have received the spirit of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, Father. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. Romans chapter 8, verses 14 through 16.